Welcome to the Sharad Kohli show, where I try and bring you the complicated matters related to economics, business, finance, tax, stock markets, commodity markets in the simplest of manner to help you understand. If you're interested in gold and silver prices, which is the buzzword these days, an important analysis of a renowned international experts has come forward. Although there are a lot of experts, I give you analysis on gold and silver almost on an everyday basis. But sometimes it's better to listen to what other experts are saying, especially if they are operating across international markets. So there is a gentleman called Jonathan Barrett. I'm sure you haven't heard of him. He's the chief investment officer of a company called ETO. This company is based out of Australia. And it deals in commodity markets, it deals in trading, it deals in all trading related activities, but dedicated to commodity. So he's the chief investment officer. The job of a chief investment officer with a fund manager or with a capital market operator, with a commodity market operator, is that he heads the team which takes decisions on investments or trading for that matter. Now, what Jonathan Barrett says in an interview given to CNBC TV 18, he says, first, about copper. Well, copper, we all know, is a very useful industrial metal, a very reasonably priced metal too. According to him, copper is soon going to enter a bull run. He feels that the pause in copper prices witnessed over the last few months will soon get over, and then copper will get into a bull run, which some people may find difficult to catch. Now, I would like to tell you quickly about how copper stands in India. How can you invest in copper? The billion-dollar question. Well, the answer is yes and no. You can buy physical copper. I know a few traders, people who are interested in buying copper can probably send a WhatsApp to my Wealth X-ray number called 9811930920. But I'll get you copper. But the problem is that where do you store it? Because for an amount which you would put in gold or silver, you would get a lot of copper. Now, even if you find storage, when the price rises and you have to sell copper, unfortunately, the same trader will not buy copper. They will ask you to go and sell as junk, which is why I have recommended to SEBI through many news platforms that SEBI must launch copper ETFs, just the way there are silver and gold ETFs. These ETFs will help people in investing in copper. The only other way to go for copper is to buy copper related shares from the stock market. Well, they may take their own time, but they can probably, take into account the bull run, whichever that happens. That's your call. So he's very bullish on copper. He says the renewable energy, green energy initiatives, and the extent of use of copper in various equipments is going to make copper enter a bull run anytime soon. When that soon is, he is not specified. Then he speaks about silver. For copper, he didn't give a particular level. He says there's going to be a bull run. But for silver, he's given levels. According to him, if the American treasuries, and we saw that happening day before yesterday, when the American treasuries bought back bonds, we saw dollar becoming weaker because there was more liquidity in the market. There were a lot of dollars thrown into the market. The bonds were taken back. And because of that, dollar became weak, which led to gold and silver spike. So according to him, if these liquidity initiatives continue, which are most likely to, because bond yields are on a high, which is making money in America expensive, they have to keep the bond yields low. And the best way to keep it is to keep replacing the older bonds with the newer bonds. For that, they'll have to keep doing the buyback. Well, also the midterm polls are there, and President Trump doesn't want money in America to be too expensive. So he'll have to keep the cost of money low, for which a lower bond yield is a must. So according to him, the macroeconomic factors, liquidity factors, and of course the geopolitical factors, silver will first probably touch $100. That's what he says. $100. Well, $100, if we convert it to Indian rupees, comes to between 3.5 to quarter to 4 lakh rupees. We saw the all-time high of silver in India was 4 lakh plus, which happened on probably the beginning of this year, around 28th of January or so, which is or whereafter the decline started. So he says those levels are not too far away. That's what he says. He says $100 and then beyond. Then he comes to gold. He says gold too would first cross its threshold of $5,000. Now if you convert $5,000, it probably comes to, we are right now at about $4,400, $4,500. So add another $500, we could be easily crossing the previous high of 1,80,000, 1,82,000 per 10 grams, which we saw on 28th of January, 2026. So according to him, that all these measures being taken by the US government. He didn't mention about the uncertainty with regard to Iran-US war or the Russia-Ukraine war, but geopolitical tensions do count. Somehow gold and silver, like uncertainty, instability, a disturbed atmosphere. This last war made gold subdued because of the crude oil. But he says now with the American elections approaching and American Treasury getting increasingly worried about bond yields, those liquidity measures will boost gold and silver prices. Now that was Jonathan Barrett's opinion. Now whenever we take opinion of an expert, we must verify the credibility of the person. Who's this person? Why should we believe him? Why should you trust somebody called Jonathan Barrett? There may be dozens of Jonathan Barretts around the world. This guy has 28 years of experience in London commodity market, in Hong Kong commodity market, and in Australian commodity markets. And their company ETO, by the way, trades across the world. And he's at a very senior position. He often gets invited to large international media networks like Bloomberg, like Reuters, like TV Asia, and many others. So when we do a background check of the person whose opinion I'm bringing to you, my credibility lies in his credibility, and his credibility has to be based on facts. And to be very fair and honest, I'm an analyst too. I follow global markets, commodity markets, capital markets, financial markets. I do concur with his advice. If you remember in one of my videos, probably day before yesterday and the day before, I had said that there are 70% chances of gold and silver rising from here. And he also says that silver might give better returns than gold. He said that silver might outshine gold in terms of returns. And by the way, silver ETFs are very much there. Gold ETFs are very much there. Copper ETFs are not there. So you can find a way or find a person who can also buy back your copper after you bought it. Well, and you find a place to store, because in the same amount of money you'll get probably hundreds of kilos of copper or tons of copper, because it's not an expensive metal. For when it was in the pause period, it was hovering around 1,200-1,300 rupees a kilo for a very long time. Imagine if you were to invest 5 lakhs, how many kilos would you collect, and where would you keep it? That's one practical physical problem with copper. So that was Jonathan Barrett for you. That was his analysis. That was his forecast. Well, you have to take your own decision. Do you agree with Jonathan Barrett? Do you agree with his analysis? Do you invest in gold and silver? Please do comment and let me know. This is a fairly new channel, started in August, the Sharad Kohli Show. My Hindi channel, I've got a lot of love from the audience, and I'm trying my best that for the people who like it in English, I try and bring a similar kind of analysis and on different topics on this channel. So please do subscribe, comment. I do read the comments. I may be having paucity of time not to reply, but that doesn't mean I don't read the comments. Please do keep commenting. Share this. Your subscription, pressing the bell icon for notification, gives me a lot of motivation. Until we meet again, thank you very much for watching.